FX and Fox Racing welcome you live to Daytona. Welcome to the Speedway, the very first Winston Cup happy hour of the season. And can you believe just 24 hours until the 43rd running of the Daytona 500? You will see it here on Fox. On FX, we're very happy to bring you all the stars coming up here under the stars. Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, Bill Elliott, the rest of the Daytona 500 field practice for the last time before tomorrow's great American race. Hi, I'm Chris Myers, coming to you from trackside just above Victory Lane, the tension building toward tomorrow. Tonight, during happy hour, it's your last chance to see who might end up the happiest of them all at the conclusion of the Daytona 500. Last year, Dale Jarrett, remember, wrecked his car during happy hour, but he fixed that car, went on to win the race the very next day, proving you never know what can happen from now until then, but we'll keep an eye on that. That's why FX is bringing you that race, and I welcome in Jeff Hammond, Ken Squire. Ken, a veteran of 36 Daytona 500s, and Jeff, of course, a former crew chief who won at the Daytona 500. Happy hour, this is kind of like the last NFL preseason game before the regular season opener, right? Everything's in place. You don't want anybody to get hurt. You just want to get to the big day and be in good shape.
Yeah, like one of these days, I'm going to find the guy who named this thing happy hour, because for our crew chiefs, this is what you do on top of that truck. I don't want to look. You don't want to look. I'm telling you, the last hour of practice always scares us to death. I mean, I know how it is for the drivers, but for the crew chiefs and the crews, they hold their breath. They know they got to run the practice, but at the same time, you don't want to run this practice.
And the Winston Cup cars on the track delayed a little bit because of the rain earlier, which pushed back a very exciting Napa 300. They had an hour and 28-minute rain delay, and in that race, Ken, you correctly predicted Pontiac and the winner in that race.
Randy LaJoie. Well, Randy LaJoie got really lucky. And it was a point I was trying to make a little earlier, was that he had come up to ninth. He was 15 seconds back. He needed a caution, but he was as quick as anything out there. Now, what this is all about, as far as I'm concerned, is I can't tell you who's going to win the Great American Race tomorrow, but I am really impressed with how these Pontiacs are running. The move by Tony Stewart that you saw replayed today in the rain delay, in the 125, down the inside, that car right there, zap, zap, zap. He took out 3 cars, went right up through the bottom, and went on to victory. And I think that although I've been favoring Dodge all week long, these Pontiacs are tricked up and they're ready to get the job done tomorrow in the 500.
Ken Schrader and his Pontiac in row 7 as well, as we continue along the way for happy hour. Remember, don't drink and drive. It's a different kind of happy hour. Speedway Illustrated Magazine's Dick Berggren is down on pit road. Dick?
Oh, thanks, Chris. I'm at Dale Earnhardt's garage. He just emptied this place about 30 seconds ago. He's on his way to the racetrack for the most important practice session of the entire week. In anticipation of the Daytona 500, final chance to tune it up, chance for Earnhardt to win his second career Daytona 500. Steve Burns.
Boy, Dick, Tony Stewart's crew has worked so hard to get that number 20 car back in race trim. Remember, he got bumped up in the 125-miler. They worked in the left front nose, the right door, and had to replace part of the rear bumper. So this is a critical practice for that number 20 team. Matt Yoakum.
Steve, the defending Daytona 500 champion Dale Jarrett was also involved in a crash in his twin 125 qualifying race. His crew worked on his battered mount Thursday afternoon, and Friday morning they replaced the entire right side of the car. In practice time, it was 3/10 faster, but the big question now, just how will it run in the draft? Guys?
For the second year in a row, Dale Jarrett wrecks during speed weeks before the 500. Here's the crash that took him out when Ron Hornaday spun across his nose. Right there, and Jarrett's 88 is caught up in it. Now that was Thursday. Today, this final hour of practice. Hi everyone, Mike Joy with winning crew chief Larry McReynolds on 2 occasions, and Darrell Waltrip, who drove to Victory Lane here in 1989.
Yes,
what do you want to accomplish in this hour?
Well, all week long we've heard lobbying. We got this. They don't have this. Hey, tomorrow's the Daytona 500. You got to go out there and see what you've got. But if you're good and it looks good and that driver's happy, it's like, let's bring it in here. Let's put the checklist on it. Let's make sure nothing falls off that thing. Safest place is in the garage area.
And I think also when you look at Dale Jarrett's car, Tony Stewart's car, there are still what my daddy used to call some shade tree mechanics in the business, because they can come down here, they can go down there in the garage. They don't have all the fancy spray bake equipment to put the paint jobs on them, but when you get those cars ready to race, you put a camera on every one of them, they look like they came right out of the factory.
Would you like to run a little in this hour or a lot, Darrell?
Some of these guys will go out there, Mark Martin, and some of them will run the whole hour. They'll run a tank of fuel right out of these things because, again, we refer back to the weather. It's overcast, it's supposed to be cool tomorrow. The last time these cars were on the track, it was 88 degrees, so on and so forth. So they've changed setups, or they anticipate doing that. I'd want to run a lot if it was me.
All right, the 88, as we talked and saw, he wrecked on Thursday, but they did get a practice yesterday morning. I talked to Todd Parrott last night. He said, Larry Mack, Dale Jarrett likes it better now. So they fixed that thing back, and she's driving good right now.
Oh, boy.
There he is.
Track is open for Winston Cup practice. That's Todd Parrott, Dale Jarrett's crew chief. Take him a couple of laps to get up to speed, and then we'll see some serious drafting and passing as everyone wants to find out if they have the right combination to win tomorrow's Daytona 500. We'll be right back on FX. Race fans, your long winter's wait is almost over. Tomorrow is the Daytona 500 on Fox.
3 hours of just putting your head between a pair of vice grips and squeezing as hard as you can, because every move you make has to be made with I mean, just so little margin for error.
You can have about 40 of your friends over at your house. You can turn the heat on wide open, and they all can stand in the room together and breathe over everybody and talk and just bump into people or whatever, and see how aggravated it gets after 3.5 hours of doing that.
It's like trying to get to the most important meeting of your life, and you're in rush hour traffic all the time. And you're trying to get around and through traffic. Getting to Victory Lane is like getting to that meeting on time and then having a successful meeting.
Well, here's your afternoon commute at 190 miles an hour.
And it's just practice. You know, just get out there and shake the car down, run a few laps, and be sure we're ready to go for tomorrow, because tomorrow is what it's all about. Tomorrow pays money and points. First time since we've been here for 11 days, so things are going to pick up, boys.
See that 6 car in the top groove with number 1 behind it. Mark Martin and Steve Park top the speed charts right now at 191.1 miles per hour.
Earnhardt wanted to go 3 wide for the trial, but he figured he was out of racetrack right there. He tucked back in behind Tony Stewart, the orange 20 car.
Just think about it like this, Mike. All weekend, all week long, we've been running for chump change. Tomorrow, it's who wants to be a millionaire.
Everybody wants to.
That's right. But you may have to poll the audience to find out who's going to be. Or you may have to call a friend, like we've seen a couple of times.
Down on pit road. That's right. Yep. Or take the 50-50, take the middle lane like Earnhardt is right now.
See Jeremy Mayfield in the blue 12 car there. That is a team that has struggled since they've come through the gates 11 days ago. They've changed motors, they've changed that car, and right now he's hooked on that black 3 of Dale Earnhardt.
The only thing they've used more of than car parts is goodies. They've taken a lot of goodies for the last week, I'm telling you. And those goodies, by the way, folks, are headache powders.
And still, Mayfield is only 24th fastest.
And struggling. I'm sure they've worked themselves. As Rusty, his teammate, would say, they have worked their guts out.
They're the 2 quickest cars so far. Mark Martin, number 6 of Ford, and Steve Park, Chevrolet, number 1.
I bet you there'll be some Fords in the top 10 speeds when this day is over with.
See, now that NASCAR has announced there will be no aerodynamic rule changes for the 500.
That's right.
All the lobbying is over.
It's over now.
You got to get out there and see what you got. And one thing that all of these teams, besides how the car's driving, they're really wanting to accomplish is they've all put their 500 race motors in fresh. In fact, there were some teams that were so pleased with their motors from the 125 miler, they sent them back to their shops to be rebuilt, got them back down here this morning, and put them in for this happy hour practice.
Jerry Nadeau stuck in the middle.
You know, I believe Nadeau is going to be somebody to be dealt with in this 500-mile race. His car is handled well, it's run well, and he got the embarrassment of getting disqualified off the front row earlier in the week, and I believe now he's ready to go racing.
That's Nadeau 25, and that, by the way, Nadeau claimed innocence on that whole deal. It was something to do in the setup of the car, nothing driver involved.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I believe that's called passing the buck.
That's right. I never knew any of those things. I'm just a dumb driver. I'm left side weights, all I am.
One car that has vanished from this group right here is the black 3 of Dale Earnhardt. He's either very happy, Darrell, or very unhappy. He run a few laps and he pulled it in the garage area.
I tell you, he didn't do his normal Earnhardt thing. Normally he'll go out there, run through the field, run up and take the lead him around a couple laps, park it. He couldn't drive up through there like he normally does. So he may be in there making some adjustments right now.
They call it happy hour. It's anything but happy from the crews. Look at this. Maybe we should call it rush hour. There's Earnhardt being pushed back into the garage.
Rush hour is a lot better
I like rush hour.
description of what goes on, because this is just like rush hour traffic.
Well, let's crank it up for those of you who need a new set of speakers.
Strap the TV down.
Go blow out the old set of speakers.
Gordon up high off the 2 over. Whoa.
In trouble. In the wall.
He's in big trouble back there.
You saw the sparks at the bottom left corner of your frame as Jeff Gordon got into the wall coming off turn 2.
I don't think he ever, if he got into it, it's very, very lightly. I don't think he hurt the car, but he sure did put it up there in harm's way.
But he decided he didn't want no more.
Nope.
No. He is 4th on the speed chart and now headed for pit road.
Actually, I think he may be headed for the bathroom.
Let's have another look.
Here we go. Let's see if we can tell what happened, because we were in our crank it up mode. He gets that baby right out there next to it, but as you can see, there's a little daylight in there. Oh, Jeffy, keep her. Oh.
Boy, that wasn't much daylight.
There's the tire mark you see on the wall from Gordon's car.
Tires hit and the body didn't.
Another look. So the sparks might have been off the rim.
I think that's what it was. Just a little wee bit of spark.
Jeff Hammond?
Yeah, I've been watching that 24 car, and I honestly think he almost had a tire going down, because early on he was running really, really strong, and all of a sudden he started trying to fade back, and I think he got caught up there because all the traffic around him going to Houston.
Hey, well, Jeff, we know what happened. Jeff Gordon radioed in and said, I had no warning my motor blew. In fact, the team's already putting together a hoist to put the backup motor in. 24 blown motor.
Could those sparks have been something from under the hood?
Could have been.
They'll be chasing this man when they drop the green flag tomorrow. Bill Elliott on the pole for the Daytona 500.
What these teams are doing, they're pulling to there's the hoist going together to get that motor out. I don't know if they can get it changed in time enough to get back out there, but they do want to get it changed as quick as they can.
And you'd love to get back out there to make sure everything is all tightened up, there's no leaks, and everything works well. Look at the bottom left of your screen for those sparks.
What he's doing, Mike, he's trying to get out of people's way. I mean, you got to realize something. There's the sparks.
There's the sparks
yeah,
right there.
Just like you said. There's people, I mean, it's a wonder didn't get run over.
Really?
And he was just trying to get that thing up there against the wall and stay out of the way. Yeah, there's a little light scrape down the side of the car, Mike. That's a great job of hanging on to that thing. Now, you know, we've seen a lot of blown motors since we've been down here, and it's because of the new bigger restrictor plate. They're using the engines, they're having to change some internal parts in these engines. Some of the lighter rods, pistons, crank combinations, small bearings, things that they've used in the past are giving them trouble now that they're turning the motors and making more power.
The scariest thing I can think about, happy hour was a little marginal getting run this afternoon because of the weather here earlier. Had they have not gotten out there, this would have happened on about lap 4 or 5 of the Daytona 500.
That's right. Dale Earnhardt pulled in early after just a few laps, Dick Berggren.
He apparently was unhappy with the engine in this car. Danny Lawrence, the head engine builder, has got himself under the hood of this car. They have not only taken the carburetor off the engine, they are in the process of taking the intake manifold off as well. So that's a pretty big change for this late in the game. To Jeff.
Yeah, guys, one of the things you might see is going on here. We got the 24 car's got a problem, the 3 car's got a problem, but look what's happening. The weather's changed dramatically. A lot of these engine tuners are anticipating how the weather might be, and maybe they're missing their guess, and all of a sudden we're seeing a rashing engine problem. Dick?
Well, Dale Earnhardt, what's going on under the hood of your race car?
Well, we engineered a new intake that ran better on the wheel dyno,
but it didn't run better on the engine dyno, and it don't run good on the race car, so we're putting our other intake back on we had on Thursday and on back in the Bud shootout. So these restrictor plate engines are real particular, real, you know, they want everything just right, so we're going to try this other intake, which I think will be okay, but it ran good. It just it wouldn't quite pull back up in the draft as good as I thought it should, so we're gonna go back to the other intake. The car's driving good and everything. If it was like it was Thursday and it pulled up good, I would have already shut it off, be getting out of my uniform.
Okay, thanks, Dale. And what he was talking about, the wheel dyno, what that is, that's a new dyno that's come about in the last 4 or 5 years. We've always had the engine dyno that measures the power of the engine out of the car, but now we have a way of measuring the power at the rear wheels, and that's what's important. That's what's touching the racetrack. So what he's saying, it was better on the wheel dyno or the chassis dyno, but didn't seem to show up on the racetrack.
Yeah, one of the things that a wheel dyno does, it lets you run the engine in the car with all the driveline components, air cleaner, headers. It's the whole package, because so many engine builders used to say, I've got you 20 more horsepower, buddy, you're going to love it. Put it in the car, won't run a lick. And the engine dyno wouldn't show that what was happening to it once it went in the race car.
Look at how the temperature has dropped.
This is what's driving engine builders crazy right now, because as the temperature goes down, they have to add jet to the carburetor, let more fuel flow through it. And you see everybody walking around with jackets. It's the first time we've had jackets on all week down here.
Yeah, they've had sunscreen up until today.
4 wide coming down through the tri-oval. This is practice.
Boy, Mark Martin was right down. Looks like they were coming to get the checkered flag.
Unreal. Dick Berggren.
Bobby Labonte likes this weather change. They've had a problem with a loose race car the entire duration of speed weeks as a result of the weather having dropped in temperature. Now all of a sudden this car's got a pretty good grip on the racetrack. They like this. And by the way, tomorrow's supposed to be a cool day. That'll bode well for the 18 team.
Yeah, high expected tomorrow, only 66 degrees.
And you know who else will like it? Bill Elliott.
True. Mark Martin and Steve Park top the speed chart. Ward Burton, Jeff Gordon, Johnny Benson are the fast 5 right now. We'll be right back on FX. Welcome back to Daytona. Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip and Larry McReynolds. I thought I had the best seat in the house, and I'm wrong. The best seat is 1,000 feet above Daytona International Speedway aboard the Budweiser.com airship. Looking down at these cars going 3 wide. Pretty exciting.
Oh, this
Winston Cup practice.
Great practice. Just fun to watch.
Steve Burns.
Thanks, Mike. With Jeff Gordon. Jeff, first, tell us what happened. Secondly, what will your crew do now to get your car ready for the Daytona 500?
Well, you know, I normally don't like happy hour, and I'm not saying I'm happy right now, but I'm glad we ran it because that was our race motor, and something definitely broke in the motor. So we're going to find out what it was. I doubt whether we're going to run this motor. We'll probably put something else in. The good thing is we got one of the best engine shops there is, and we got plenty of good ones. But, you know, the car was obviously very fast, running really good up there in the high lane, and the thing just snapped. I mean, just something snapped immediately, didn't show any signs or anything. And I'm just glad that all I got out of that was a little scuff on the wall, trying to stay out of the way from those guys.
Jeff, tell us about the scuff on the wall, little body damage there to the right side. What sort of factor will that be?
Oh, nothing. I did the same thing, the 125, so no, that won't be anything. The only thing is I messed up my tailpipe a little bit right there, and those guys aren't going to be happy with me because they worked real hard on those tailpipes. But, you know, when it cut off clean like that, I had no power, and I was waving my arm to those guys to get around me, you know, and they were going by me so fast that the air, just the air itself was pushing me up against the wall, just trying to give them as much room, scuffed it a little bit.
All right, well, let's get back to work. Thanks, Jeff. Let's go back upstairs.
Jeff Gordon's had a tough week. Let's show you some of the lowlights of his week. First, Mark Martin gets into him in practice on Wednesday, and a 190-mile-an-hour save. And then moments ago, he talked about the 125s. Here's what just happened when that engine let go, and he got up high and popped the wall right there.
Those sparks are from his tailpipes.
Back on track. The rush hour of final Winston Cup practice goes on, and they're still going at it 3 wide. They do know this is practice.
Well, you know what I think? I think some of these guys don't like their car, and they want to get their backup out. And so they're going to see if they can tear it up or not.
Johnny Benson is in his backup for Benson fans. After having damage in the 125-miler, his backup car is 5th fastest overall. Not bad for a backup.
I was talking to some of the drivers, and they say that the cars here have that, we talked about last year at Talladega, the closing rate with the bigger plate and the aero package, you really close up on the car in front of you in a hurry at a higher rate of speed than they ever have before. We heard Ron Hornaday say he was using up his brakes. Some of these guys, the closing rate is much faster than it was last year.
Darrell, Larry, Mike, just to add a little bit to what you're talking about John Benson's situation, the car that he does have for a backup is the car that he ran here in the 500 last year. So James Ince told me earlier this week that if something did happen, he had a lot of confidence in his backup car.
That car would have won the 500, but for the 4 fast Fords lined up behind him. And they kind of ganged up on him there with 5 to go. Just as happened to Bill Elliott the year before when the Hendrick cars ganged up on him.
Yeah, and we were talking about Jeff Gordon. Just follow up a little bit more. If you remember, he restarted right behind Earnhardt in the 125. He was Earnhardt first, he was second, and Jeff got shuffled back even to 6th place in his qualifying race. So he's been having a tough go of it, but I still think he's going to be somebody that they're going to have to deal with.
Bill Elliott comes onto the track. That was the car low on the apron, just beginning to come up to speed. The pole sitter, there's Ray Evernham, team leader of the Dodge return to Winston Cup. Practice rolls on. You're watching NASCAR on FX. Welcome back to Daytona. Final Winston Cup practice. Tomorrow, wall-to-wall NASCAR on the Fox channels. Fox Sports Net has NASCAR this morning to kick things off at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Dodge returns to Daytona and will count us down at 11:30 a.m. Eastern on Fox. Dodge Daytona pre-race show with driver interviews at noon Eastern Time on Fox, leading right up to the green flag of the 43rd annual Daytona 500. Dick Bergeron.
Casey Atwood's car has just come off the jacks. He did the same thing Dale Earnhardt Jr. did to his car and Bill Elliott did to his. All 3 of those drivers called for a gear change. The reason? We have got a strong wind blowing off the ocean, and the drivers are complaining that coming off the 2nd corner, they can't get enough speed going down the backstretch. So they're changing gears to get more backstretch speed. Matt?
Dick, defending 500 winner Dale Jarrett just completed 12 laps, pulled the car in. On the way into the garage, the big debate was whether to go back out or just call it a day. Robert Yates looked at the plugs. Now they're checking the timing. Todd Parrott's vote, parked the car, because remember last year during happy hour, their car was damaged along with 3 others, and they had to work very late into the night and get here at 4:30 in the morning and complete the work before they drove that car to victory.
There's a 20-mile-an-hour headwind coming down that backstretch, and tomorrow should not be as windy, but it won't be as warm.
There's a key right there. That's about what we've got right now. I mean, what they're asking for, Darrell, because of that headwind going down the backstretch, is a lower gear ratio. It won't get the RPMs down that backstretch.
Oh, yeah, and I'll tell you something. I bet you Dale Earnhardt's happy with his car now. I think I saw him back out there, and he shot down through there past about 5 cars, and I think you'll see him go in the garage and put the cover on it.
Larry, I don't know about you, but as far as when I've been here at Daytona, when I see that flag going down the back straightaway the way it's doing right now, I just about as soon get a rope and jump off the top of that truck, because it'll just drive you crazy. And that driver is all the time saying, man, my motor won't run, my motor won't run. And Darrell knows exactly what I'm talking about. And you talking about happy hour just before the 500, and it feels like everything's falling apart in the last hour. You've been here 11 days, and it's all falling apart in the last hour.
And you'll go through the drill of this gear change. If you come in here tomorrow, and they'll wait to the last minute. They'll monitor the wind up to the point they have to put the car through inspection. If it looks like it's not going to be this windy, they'll put the higher gear back in.
Well, and Jeff, the reason Jeff says that it's all falling apart in the last hour, I can't tell you how many times he and I have been here. We've been happy with our car. We've been good in the qualifiers. We've been practicing well. Saturday afternoon, happy hour shows up, and I hate my car. It's got an oil leak. It's doing this. It's the wrong manifold. I don't like the carburetor. The headers are wrong. You got the wrong gear in it. And finally, he'll grab me by the throat and say, is there anything about this car you like?
How's your seat feel?
Yeah. Going to work on that when you get out of my way.
Let's go back to Dale Jarrett's garage.
And, Mike, the vote from Todd Parrott was park the car. Looks like your vote won. How good is this car for tomorrow?
It's a lot better than what it was yesterday. We made some changes to the front end settings. We did a bump steer. Actually checked all the front end geometry. This morning, and while the Busch race was going on, we found some things that were bent. Just car just wasn't right. It wasn't driving right. And this is Daytona. You got to have, like Larry Mack said Thursday, a good driving race car and a lot of motor. and 4 Goodyear Eagles will win this race. And he said, you know, the car's driving a lot better now. That's the key thing. And last year we went out for just to try one little thing, and you know, the way things are happening, don't want to take that chance. The car's good. He's happy with it, the way it's driving. Dale Jarrett knows how to get around Daytona. If he tells me he's happy with the car, then I'm going to take his word for it, and we're going to put this thing to bed.
How well are you going to sleep tonight compared to last year?
Well, I'm sure that I'll be up tossing all night long because, you know, like I said, we do have a good race car for tomorrow. We just got to, you know, just stay out of trouble and try to keep this UPS car up front. And last year wasn't a whole lot of fun on Saturday night, I can tell you that. But Sunday was a lot of fun, a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work's gone into this thing this week, and hopefully we can get the same results out of it with a lot of hard work and dedication from the pit crew and good calls during the race tomorrow.
Well, they're going to put this car up on jack stands and begin the race prep for tomorrow, Mike.
Funny how early in the week, as you watch Jeff Gordon's engine change going on, during practice, there were no Fords to be found in the top 10. Right this minute, the fastest car in this practice is, and 2 of the other cars in the top 10 are. So once the lobbying is over, now we're going to see who's fast.
Yeah, the Ford boys jumped right up there. And let me tell you something. Old Jack Roush told me 11 days ago, I asked him, what's wrong? He said, DW, you've been down here for 30 years. How long are we going to be? 11 days. Just 11 days. Don't worry about it.
There is Jack Roush, who owns 4 Winston Cup teams, and right now has 2 cars among the 10 fastest speeds. Mark Martin, who's quickest, and Matt Kenseth, who is 6th fastest. Mark Martin has just pulled in off the track for the first time in this session. That's where Jack's headed, and so will we when we come back. You're watching NASCAR on FX.